Up Workplace Wellness and Kathie's Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Kathie Owen. You're in the right place if you're an HR director, a corporate executive, or even a team member who wants to improve their workplace culture. Today, we're going to discuss burnout, what it is, and even why it happens, and most importantly, what to do about it. Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion due to prolonged stress. We're also going to talk about the impact of burnout on your personal life, your health, and your professional productivity. I experienced burnout firsthand just recently. And actually, I would say in the last 2 years, in 2023 and 2024, I had prolonged stress and burnout. I was working for a company that didn't want my services, and it was very, very hard, very difficult. And I was working so hard for this company. I wanted the best for them. I wanted to help improve the culture. I worked extremely hard on improving the culture there because it was very toxic. I was inside the trenches with the rest of the team members, so I knew what was wrong and what needed to be fixed. But there was too much diplomacy. There was too much propaganda. There was too much dogma, which meant that the executives and the managers were filled with power, and it was awful. I would work so hard on different things, thinking I was going to be doing the right thing. But what happened was I was never getting reviewed for my job. It was like working with a client and them never giving you feedback on if you're doing good or you're not doing good. So if it was happening with me, it was happening across the whole board. And I know it was happening in my department. I was in the operations department. And if I'm not getting reviewed and I'm not understanding if what I'm doing is good and I'm not getting recognized for what I'm doing, I was just going to do what I thought was best. I have an entrepreneur spirit. But in corporate America, when you have an entrepreneur spirit, sometimes that doesn't work in your favor. It doesn't get recognized. It doesn't get rewarded. And that type of company, I don't want to work with. Just if that's you, you do not need my services, because what I do is I try to help prevent burnout. I try to build healthy, happy teams, one heart at a time. Avoid toxic workplace culture. That's what I do. But what happened was I was burned out. And guess what? I did not realize it until I had been gone from the company for about 3 weeks. It actually just took me 3 days to realize how stressed I really was. I had been bullied. I had been harassed. And I had been talked down to by my manager, who was letting other people in my department get away with things that were not okay. They would show up to work and go hide out in different spots. I was working. I was in the trenches earning my paycheck, trying very hard to get what I wanted. And I saw her letting people just goof off and not do their job. These people would tell other people in my department, that's not my job. I'm not doing it. It was their job. That's what they were hired for. And then they'd be caught sitting in a quiet room goofing off. That is called presenteeism. It's also called quiet quitting. And this team had quiet quitting across the board, but they didn't want to see it. HR did not want to see it. And HR was threatened because I was bringing it to their attention, and they did not like it. So again, I'll go back to this. I do not want to work with companies like this. I want to work with companies who want to improve their culture, build team engagement, and build a healthy, happy team. One heart at a time, because that's where it starts. Today, we're talking about burnout. What is it, and what are the signs of burnout? Burnout can affect the entire company. and the team dynamics, just like I just spoke about. It was affecting the entire company. And I talk about quiet quitting a lot on my blog, and I talk about presenteeism because that is not team engagement. That is a culture where people tell you how to run your business instead of the other way around. And when you're telling your team how you're going to run your business, you're taking care of your team. You're attracting and retaining top talent when you care about them, the human perspective inside the culture. And a corporate wellness program can help prevent and even help stop burnout. Investing in your team's wellness is crucial for a healthier, engaged team. So let's talk about 10 alarming signs of burnout with explanations and solutions to dealing with them. Number 1, increased cynicism and negativity about work. This is feeling more critical or hopeless about work. Could you sense my hopelessness in that situation where you had team members who were present at work and not working? I felt hopeless. There was nothing I could do. When I brought it to people's attention, they ignored it. They enabled it. Complaints across team members were increasing, but they were falling on deaf ears. So a solution for increased cynicism and negativity about work is to reconnect with your purpose. Understand your why you're doing what you're doing. Because when you connect with that, that aligns your values with you instead of the other way around. And setting small daily goals for positivity. Because when you're cynical, you're going to have trouble seeing the positive in things. And I like to use gratitude on this one. And gratitude is very helpful because we can always find things to be grateful for. Always. At least 3. Just look around you, be present in the moment, and find 3 things to be grateful for. And number 2 alarming sign of burnout is difficulty concentrating. Yeah, been there, done that many times. Focus is challenging even on simple tasks, and you're easily distracted. And in today's world, that's easy to do because we have so many easy distractions to take place, and that affects our focus. But when we're burned out, guess what we do? We turn to our phone to scroll, to get that dopamine hit. And that is not going to help you. In fact, it's going to spike your dopamine and you will come down even lower than you started with, that dopamine. So then your focus is even more messed up. So what's a solution to this, Kathie? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Try time management techniques like the Pomodoro technique, where you set the timer for 25 minutes and do focused work. Don't let yourself pick up your phone. Don't look at your watch when it buzzes. Focus on one thing at a time. And number 2 thing that you can do to help with your focus is practice mindfulness. And mindfulness can be as simple as taking a walk and taking a walk out in nature and taking a break from whatever you're doing. And don't take your phone with you. Just focus on whatever is in your environment. That is so helpful. Meditation is helpful. And you don't need to meditate very long, just a few minutes to bring yourself back to front and center. And that's where your focus comes from. Number 3, neglecting self-care. This was happening to me at the end of my tenure at that company. I wasn't working out. I was so burnt out that I wasn't taking care of myself. And my workouts as a personal trainer, I worked out for years and years and years. That is the best thing for my mental health. And it helps me stay focused, like we just talked about. But it also helps me take care of myself because I get my body moving. I get the energy going inside my body. And this was one thing that was part of my morning routine, no matter what. And as soon as I left that job, I started working out on a more regular basis. I started feeling better. I started eating better. And that was self-care. I was taking care of myself and I started feeling better and my focus was better. So if you go back 5 videos ago and you look at me in those videos, you can see a big difference. I was in the midst of burnout because what happened was they found one of my videos and said I was talking bad about the company, and I was not. I was talking bad about my manager, who had specifically told me many, many times that if it was up to her, I wouldn't even be there. She did not like me. She did not want me there. She specifically told me that. And I said it in the video. I did not talk bad about the company because while I was there, I held the utmost respect for them. I was hired by the CEO. I had her best interest at heart. And yet my manager's over here telling me if it was up to her, I wouldn't even be there. And I'm not going to cut her down, but I so could because she just treated everybody like that. For example, let's give you an example here, and it doesn't have to do with me. I was in her office one time talking to her, and I was going over some things that I had to check off in my mind beforehand because I knew if I had to get her attention, I had to spurt them out right there. And I told her my stuff. Well, there was somebody else in her office that needed to talk to her, one of my coworkers. My coworker was standing there, and my supervisor said, "What do you want?" with a scowl on her face. My coworker really had something she needed to tell her about work, about her job. She's told her, this is what she told her. "I just wanted to tell you good morning." That's the kind of department I worked in. Yeah, it really happened in real life, and that is not okay. That is not okay. How are you going to run your business like that when you have your managers not even working with your team to get things done? This is not okay and leads to burnout. So let's talk about some solutions when it comes to taking care of yourself. Reintroduce small routines. Routines like my morning routine. Maybe I couldn't go to the gym 4 times a week. Maybe I could just take a walk in the morning and get some exercise, get some fresh air, listen to the birds sing. Just take care of yourself. It goes a long way. And number 2 thing you can do is treat self-care like you would meetings. Put them into your calendar. Just put them in there and tell yourself that's what you're going to do. This is what I've already done on a regular basis, but when I was burned out, I would avoid it. I would just delete it off my calendar that day. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't do that, so it's gone. But what I could have done was slid it down into another time slot where instead of going to the gym and getting in my workout, I could have taken a walk out in nature and just spent time with myself, being mindful of how I was taking care of myself. And that's how you can at least start incrementing your self-care back into your routine. Number 4 is procrastinating certain tasks. Procrastination is an evil twin of burnout. The reason we procrastinate is because we avoid doing things that we know we need to do, because when you're burned out like I was, you're not getting recognized for it. So you're like, why do I want to do that? Why do I even want to bother? Nobody's going to know. And let me tell you something. Inside my top workplace wellness programs, I incorporate recognition and rewards in a way where team members feel appreciated instead of just giving away rewards for, I don't know, a ticket you put into a bucket. This is not recognition, and it's not rewarding your team members for hard work. Because what happens is the person who put that ticket in the bucket is the one that's sitting in the quiet room, being present at work and not doing their job. Just saying. When we procrastinate certain tasks, especially the overwhelming ones, that can lead to more burnout. It can lead to more loss of focus. It can lead to more of these symptoms that we're going to talk about today. What are some tips to help with procrastination? Break your tasks down into smaller steps and check them off as you do them. Check them off. Check them off. That feels so rewarding. I like to write things in my tasks that I know I'm already going to do that day. I have a meeting with so-and-so. Well, I know I'm going to do that, so I check it off. I even write tasks like social situations that I have. Meeting Kimber for drinks. Check. It's done. That helps with the procrastination. And then start small to build momentum. Start with the small tasks. Don't overwhelm yourself. Like I said, put in a little checklist the little things you've got to do, because just simply checking that off sends a signal to your brain that you're not procrastinating, and it feels so good. If you like today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell so you never miss a video from me. Let's get back into the episode. Number 5, sign of burnout: decreased creativity or problem-solving abilities. When this happens, solutions feel out of reach. Yeah, I know. I dealt with that big time. Big time, especially because I was coming from a place where I had nobody supporting me around me. That's why I like being an entrepreneur now, because now I don't have to rely on anybody. I just rely on me. But I am on a mission to help corporate cultures to stop the insanity. We're humans. You're not working with a bunch of robots. Although at that company, you treated us like that. And that's not going to get you very far. It's going to end up in a place we don't want to talk about. Because when you're in a place where you have decreased creativity, problem solving and innovation just doesn't click. It doesn't go. That's what I just mentioned right there. That's why I felt like being an entrepreneur was more in alignment with what I needed to do, because I don't need to rely on somebody else showing me appreciation. But when you have to work at a company and you are burnt out, what do, Kathie? What do you do? Well, let's talk about that. Explore creative outlets. This is one of my favorite things to help prevent burnout, depression, anxiety, everything. And that is to work on your hobbies. What do you like to do? And don't drown yourself in it. Just go take a quick break and take a minute to, I don't know, if your hobby is photography, go take a few pictures. If your hobby is painting, go draw. Go draw for 15 minutes and just take a break and explore different creative outlets. It does wonders for your burnout. And try new experiences. I love this one. So in the book, The Artist's Way, she talks about taking artist dates. And I've used this concept with my personal training clients. I've used it with my coaching clients. What I do is I tell them, look, try a new way to exercise. Go to a different class that you never would have gone to. If you never go to water aerobics, go try water aerobics. And artist dates are just taking yourself on a date where you go somewhere new and inspiring and just try to change the scenery and look around and take it all in and feel the difference that happens in there. Because when you do that, it's kind of like you just take that burnout and nip it in the bud. Number 6, unexplained physical symptoms. Oh, did I have this? I had a crick in my neck. I had it in between my shoulder blades. I had poor posture. I was not sitting up straight and tall. I was taking my head down. I'd catch myself looking down at the ground way too much. I was stuck in burnout. And these physical symptoms were hurting my body, was causing me to have headaches, stomach aches, muscle tension with no clear cause. So what are some solutions for this? Massage, number 1. I love that. Or foam rolling. I got a big foam roller and I would roll the back of my body. That's just something I do in personal training, just to work out that tension in the muscles, especially if I don't have access to a massage therapist at the time, is I will get knots in my back and that just hurts. Regular exercise helps with this. Yoga helps with this. Breath work, where you just take in a deep breath, hold it at the top for 4 seconds, and exhale for 4 seconds. Does wonders. I love the book Inner Size, where he talks about the breath work and how it helps work out the insides, the stress, the tension, the anxiety, and it helps so much. I'll have a link to that in the blog post in the description and show notes below that I include in every video I do. I write a blog post about what's going on, and I will have a link to that in the show notes and description below with bonus resources. I hope to see you there. Sign number 7 of burnout: emotional numbness or feeling detached. Yeah, I had that too. It came in the sign of it was difficult to be around other people. And I felt isolated and not connected because, you know, I was really close with the people that I worked with and my team members, and they were like family to me. And when I left the company, I realized how connected I was with them, and it really, really hurt. And it's like I lost a family member because I would see them every day, and I know they felt the same way because I was getting the messages from them and that kind of thing. But honestly, there were other things that helped me get over this, and I'm going to talk about that right now. First of all, I'm part of a mastermind, and that mastermind was really supportive. And what happens in this mastermind, the mastermind members would talk, and it would blow my mind that everything they were talking about was what was going on in my world. I'm just in the right place at the right time. But this helped me connect on so many levels and helped me get my emotional connections back. But there's also other things you can do when this happens to you if you're not part of a mastermind or blessed like that. You can journal. You can work with ChatGPT. This one thing I do often. I love ChatGPT and it helps me so much. It helps me process different emotions. It helps me process my feelings. It's better than journaling for me because I don't like to write things down. I have a block to that. But I do get it out, and I do have places that I keep it where it's personal to me. Taking walks in nature also help with that a lot. Maybe you have a pet that you can connect with. My dog has helped me tremendously. We take walks together every day, and I make sure he gets his exercise. And at the same time, he's always right beside me, and he's very helpful. So having a pet helps a lot. If that's not the case, be sure to take walks in nature. Pay attention to the animals out there and just see what you come up with because it will make you feel more connected. And grounding exercises like the ones that they talk about in the book, The Inner Size, as well as just grounding in mindfulness. Number 8, sleep disturbances. Man, I always say this. If there's 2 things you don't mess with, it's my sleep and my sleep. And my burnout messed with my sleep. Yeah, it kind of sucked just a little bit. And still have experiences with this, but I'm working through it and it will all be okay. But let's talk about what this looks like. You have trouble falling and staying asleep. Most of the time, I don't have trouble falling asleep, but when I was working there, I know I did because I wasn't getting my exercise in, because the exercise does help with your sleep. That's one thing I've always had the luxury of. I hit pillow and I'm out. But I was having trouble falling asleep. And then when I did fall asleep, I'd wake up with a panic attack or anxiety. And that's not helpful because what would happen is it would lead to morning exhaustion. And, that's why my morning routines got messed up because I was so burnt out that it was leading to exhaustion in the mornings. So here's some solutions. Have a bedtime routine. I already had that, but also, I was relying too much on my screen and I needed to put boundaries on that and not have any screen time at bedtime because that does affect your rhythm of sleep. And you can also try journaling and soothing music. So during this time, I did spend time with ChatGPT when I'd wake up and we'd come up with solutions. And actually, ChatGPT referred me to this guy that had meditation. He was like a Zen master kind of guy. He was a Buddhist monk. And If I find him, I'll put him in the blog post that goes with this episode. But he really helped me because he also had this cute little sense of humor that just hit me in the right spot. And it was just like, okay, I'm going to let this go. And I was easily able to go back to sleep. Sign of burnout number 9, loss of enjoyment in your hobbies. Once loved activities turn into chores, like my exercise routine, like even just going outside and taking walks in nature. I just was losing it. I didn't have it anymore. And I had very little motivation to even want to do it. And that's kind of where artist dates can come into play, because it can kind of like set it in your routine. This is something I'm going to do. I'm just going to go try this. But still, when it gets to this bad in burnout, it can feel like a chore. So what do? Approach your hobbies with curiosity. So approach your hobbies with curiosity. Things that you love to do, look at it at a different angle. I don't know. Sometimes I like to look at it from a perspective of, what would somebody else look at this like? What would an alien look at this like? If they came down here all of a sudden and looked at what I was doing, what do they think of that? What do they think of us walking our dog? And I often think about what they would think about us picking up our dog poop. I don't know. I think weird things. No, it's probably not weird. They probably look at us like, what the heck are they doing? Why are they doing it? We're trying to keep our environment clean. Trying anyways. And another solution for that is you could try new or just very similar things. So for example, if it's photography and you're used to photographing nature, go photograph pets. Go photograph children. Go photograph strangers. I don't know. Add something different, just a slight different perspective on it, and see if that helps you overcome that. And number 10, I've seen this one so many times. Increased irritability with family, friends, and coworkers. Because we're having anxiety and burnout and all of that, we feel on edge. And that's going to make us cranky and we snap over minor things. And this affects our relationships. So a solution can be all of the above. Everything we've listed already, just stress relief techniques. Look them up. Talk to ChatGPT. Say, what are some stress relief techniques I can try? And if you don't find some that you like in that list that it gives you, ask it for more, because eventually you'll find something you like. And when we get cranky with people, take a moment and take a couple of deep breaths. Put some space in between it, like my mentor likes to teach us. Just put some space in between it. And then approach it with a different angle. If you need to eat, go eat. And that helps with that irritability. Once you get food inside of you, if you have that hangry feeling, it helps to overcome that irritability, then face that situation. But all of the techniques that we've listed above, finding a hobby, getting creative, taking mindfulness breaks, doing breath work, taking care of yourself, all of those things can help with the irritability and crankiness, because that's just probably the most alarming sign of burnout, and it affects everybody around you. And that's not a good way to interact with others. And we want to take care of ourselves first so we can be present with the others. So in closing, we need to recognize these signs of burnout right quick. And I want to encourage you to start listening to yourself and understanding when these signs are starting to hit and take place. And remember, preventing and healing from burnout just takes small steps. It just takes small steps, consistent small steps in mindfulness and self-care. And burnout recovery does take time, but it is possible to regain fulfillment and balance. It does happen. It just takes time. Trust the process. All right, that's my episode for today. If you found it helpful and you know somebody who can benefit from this, please share it with them. And until next time, I will see you next time. Peace out and namaste. Yeah.